And Eala, it's been quite a thrill ride for her this last year as well. I feel like last year at this event, it was a little bit of a coming out party where she had some great results coming from a wild card position as well. So I think the international interest in both of them is so high, and Miami being such a sort of a
The Miami Open has taken a dramatic and unexpected turn, and at the center of it all is one name that has completely reshaped the conversation around the tournament: Alex Eala. What began as a breakout story has since evolved into a full-blown crisis behind the scenes, with tournament director James Blake reportedly scrambling to recover from a sudden collapse in ticket demand and fan engagement. Just days ago, the Miami Open was thriving. The atmosphere was electric, the stands were packed, and ticket prices were soaring. Much of that surge was fueled by Eala's incredible run in the tournament. She wasn't simply winning matches, she was creating moments. Every time she stepped onto the court, it felt like an event unto itself. Fans arrived early, stayed late, and brought an unmatched level of energy that transformed the entire tournament experience from the ground up. James Blake himself had recognized this early on. In fact, he made the strategic decision to place Eala on the biggest courts, ensuring maximum visibility and, more importantly, maximum revenue. It was a calculated move, and it worked. Almost overnight, Eala became the face of the Miami Open, drawing massive crowds and even larger global viewership, with particularly strong engagement pouring in from Asian markets. But then came the turning point.
well beyond anything I could have dreamed of at that age.
Eala's elimination in the round of 16 didn't simply end her campaign. It triggered a ripple effect that no one appeared fully prepared for. Almost immediately, ticket demand plummeted. Prices that had once been sky-high dropped drastically, and the buzzing energy that had defined the tournament's first week seemed to vanish overnight. Reports suggest that daily revenue, which had been ranging between $500,000 and $1 million from ticket sales and media streams, took a massive hit. With Eala out of the draw, that figure reportedly fell to around $100,000 per day. That isn't merely a dip, that is a collapse. The reasons behind it are becoming increasingly clear. Eala wasn't just another rising star. She brought with her an entirely new audience, fans who weren't simply watching tennis, but watching her. A significant portion of that audience came from Asia, where Eala's popularity has skyrocketed. Once she was eliminated, viewership numbers dropped sharply, pulling sponsorship value and broadcast engagement down along with them. Now, according to reports, James Blake is in full panic mode. In an attempt to revive interest ahead of the final, Blake has reportedly approached the Women's Tennis Association with a bold proposal to organize an exhibition match featuring Eala alongside rising Canadian star Victoria Mbako. The concept is straightforward: bring Eala back, even if only for a single match, and reignite the excitement that once defined the tournament. It is a move that reflects both desperation and recognition. Desperation, because the tournament is clearly struggling in her absence. Recognition, because it underscores just how profoundly impactful Eala has become in such a short period of time. And this isn't the first time something like this has unfolded. At the Australian Open, a strikingly similar situation reportedly took shape when Eala exited early. Fans were left visibly disappointed, and the buzz surrounding the tournament noticeably faded. Yet the demand to see her play didn't disappear. It grew louder. There were even reports of fans gathering outside the grounds, hoping for some form of return appearance. In an extraordinary move, then Prime Minister Anthony Albanese stepped in to personally support an exhibition event featuring Eala. It was an unprecedented intervention, but it worked. The exhibition drew massive attention, brought fans flooding back, and restored the excitement that had been lost. That success story is now being used as a blueprint.
Brazilian fans, I mean, it's that's what you kind of want, you want that new atmosphere. Same for Eala, having all the Philippine fans from coming, to support her. It's fantastic. And
you cannot play Rafa anymore, but if you would make like 10 times time relation to Rafa, because you need to have some common sense.
The same pattern appeared once again at Indian Wells, where tournament director Tommy Haas reportedly explored similar emergency measures after a noticeable decline in crowd engagement. While those efforts didn't fully materialize, they revealed a growing trend. tournaments are beginning to recognize Eala's unique and almost irreplaceable ability to drive audience interest. But it isn't just tournament officials who are taking note. Players themselves are starting to feel the weight of Eala's presence in ways that go far beyond the scoreboard. To put it in perspective, consider what it meant to share a court with Rafael Nadal in his prime. Walking out against Rafa wasn't just a tennis match, it was an experience. The crowd was already his before the first ball was struck. The roar when he won a point, the collective tension when he was under pressure, the sense that the entire stadium was breathing in rhythm with him, it was overwhelming. Opponents didn't just have to deal with the man across the net. They had to deal with an entire arena that had emotionally committed to his victory. That psychological burden was something players openly spoke about for years, and it became a defining feature of his era. Eala is beginning to generate that same force. Alicia Parks recently shared her experience of facing Eala, and her words painted a vivid and telling picture. She described the overwhelming energy inside the stadium. The noise, the unwavering support, the sheer intensity of Eala's fan base. According to Parks, it wasn't simply a matter of playing an opponent. It felt like competing against an entire movement. She admitted that she had to consciously avoid looking at the crowd just to maintain her focus and composure. That is the kind of psychological pressure Eala brings, the kind that was once reserved for the very greatest the sport has ever seen.
No, that's actually really great that she has so many fans, especially for tennis. It's good. I just remember I didn't even, I don't know. I wasn't even listening to the crowd. I was just focused on the match. But it was crazy.
And then there is Jessica Pegula, who took things even further. Pegula spoke about Eala not merely as a player, but as a phenomenon. She highlighted the freshness and electricity Eala brings to the tour, qualities that are incredibly rare and, in today's sporting landscape, incredibly valuable. According to Pegula, what the world is witnessing right now is only the beginning. Think about that for a moment. If this is just the beginning, then what happens when Eala reaches her peak? To draw the Rafa comparison once more, when Nadal was just emerging, the tennis world could sense something special was forming, but no one could have fully predicted the scale of what was coming. The titles, the records, the cultural impact, the way entire nations rallied behind him. People said it was the beginning then too, and they were right in ways that exceeded even the boldest expectations. Those who recognized it early were witnessing history before it had fully written itself. That is precisely the conversation now surrounding Eala. Pegula even expressed interest in inviting Eala onto her podcast, not simply to discuss tennis, but to explore the kind of attention and energy she is bringing to the sport at large. Because this is no longer just about winning matches. It is about changing the game itself. Eala represents something bigger than results and rankings. She is bringing entirely new fans into tennis, particularly from regions that have historically been underrepresented in the sport. She is forging emotional connections, inspiring a younger generation of players, and adding a layer of excitement that consistently transcends the scoreboard. And that is precisely why her absence is being felt so profoundly in Miami. The tournament is currently facing a reality it simply did not anticipate. Without Eala, the stands are noticeably emptier. The atmosphere is quieter. The urgency, the buzz, the sense of anticipation, all of it has visibly diminished.
Amazing. I mean, I played her when she kind of broke out last year in Miami, and I'm from there, and the whole crowd was against me, and I was like, what on earth is going on? Like, where did these people come from? And then week after week, as she has done well and established herself as a really good player on tour, they all come out to support her. And so I think we saw that in Australia when it was kind of overcrowded. They put her on too small of a court. We saw it here. You can hear it from the hotel. You can hear the crowd roaring, especially at night. So it's incredible.
For James Blake, this is about far more than a logistical challenge. It is a wake-up call. The modern tennis landscape is evolving, and players like Eala are standing at the very forefront of that transformation. They are not simply athletes anymore. They are global attractions, individuals who directly influence ticket sales, streaming numbers, sponsorship deals, and the overall pulse of fan engagement. That is precisely why Blake's reported push for an exhibition match carries such significance. It is not merely about recovering lost revenue. It is about acknowledging a fundamental shift in how the sport operates and who drives its commercial and cultural engine. And here, the Rafa parallel speaks volumes once more. There was a time when tournament directors would quietly restructure scheduling, adjust court assignments, and make behind-the-scenes calls simply to ensure Nadal was positioned for maximum visibility. Not out of favoritism, but out of an understanding that his presence elevated everything around him. The sport learned, over time, to build around that kind of magnetism rather than treat it as coincidental. Blake appears to be arriving at that same understanding, just with a different name at the center of it. But the decision does not rest with him alone. The final call belongs to the WTA and to Eala herself, and that is what makes this situation all the more compelling. Will the WTA approve such a move? Will Eala agree to return for an exhibition? Or will the tournament be forced to move forward without its biggest draw? If the exhibition does happen, it could completely rewrite the remaining narrative of these 2 weeks. A packed stadium before the final, renewed excitement, a second wave of global attention. It would be a comeback story, not just for Eala, but for the Miami Open itself. But if it doesn't, then this tournament may well serve as a case study, a powerful and undeniable reminder of how much influence a single player can carry in today's sports world, even in her absence. Either way, one thing is beyond dispute. Alex Eala is no longer simply a rising star. She is a force. And right now, the entire tennis world is feeling her impact, even when she is nowhere near the court. So, what do you think about all of this? Has Alex Eala already cemented herself as one of the biggest attractions in women's tennis, even at this early stage of her career? Do you believe James Blake is right to push for an exhibition match to bring her back? Or does that set a dangerous precedent for tournaments going forward? And if the Women's Tennis Association approves the idea, would you be excited to see Eala return before the final, or should the tournament simply move on without her? Most importantly, is this just the beginning of Eala's influence on the sport, or are we already witnessing a generational shift in the way tennis captures the world's attention? Let me know your thoughts in the